1350 WLOU Louisville, the People Station.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
With your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, as well as my brother from another mother, Mr. John Ya Esoteric Concepts, Mr. Abibi Toomey himself. Brother, what's going on?
What's happening, brother? What's going on this morning with you? Are you in town? You got some bright sun behind you, man. I mean, in front of your face. Is that? Are you in Florida?
No, man, I tell you what, man. It's just the sun is different. 20 flights high. That's all I can say, man.
Oh.
You know, but I'm in town, man. And you know what? You look outside, man. It's beautiful. I don't know what's going on over the river right now because there is a dark cloud of good Lord, fog going all the way down the river. Some of it being contributed to by look like some warehouses across the bridge in Indiana, but nonetheless, it's a beautiful sunny day outside, man. And I don't understand how anybody can step outside, look at this sunshine, even though it's cold, man. It's cold, man. It don't feel that great. But you know what? During the winter time, I find it easier to dress warm. But even though it's cold, man, it's still a beautiful sunny day, man. I don't see how anybody can be angry or mad when you see the sunshine. I don't know, man. What you think about? You know, how's your week
man,
going?
Listen, I'm not used to this cold weather. It's like the older I get, man, it goes into your bones even quicker. You know, I'm seriously thinking about jumping up out of here and taking it to Florida, man. It's cold weather, but my week's been good. Been very busy, you know, a lot of things going on with production here at the warehouse. Sales always increase in the winter, by the way. So I'm getting prepared for these winter sales that are coming up. So, but how was your week, man? And how is you know, let me tell you first, I want to say that, man, I really enjoy doing these shows with you, man. This is a great relaxing for me. We do this for the people. We actually come together and we talk about our shows, and we want to put out there what we want to believe and think about, so that we can educate the people and try to get a good response, you know. And so this right here, sometimes I'm in the middle of the week and I'm thinking about the show, and so I'm very excited. Again, another great show doing it with you. So, but on your side, you are also with the Truth Be Told on Tuesday morning with the great Mishan Daniels. How's that going?
Oh man, that's actually going real good, man. You know, it's interesting, you know, me getting into radio. You know, I've been in entertainment in different forms and fashion growing up, but you know, I had always been told I had a radio voice, which was interesting. But nonetheless, you know, catching up with Mishan Daniels, this was actually last year, 2020. You know, it was being introduced to him in the early part of 2020, where we ended up with the Man Up show, right? And then you came on as an awesome guest and was listening to the show, loved it. And then Mishan wanted to step away, right, this year, and he had some business things to take care of. He took care of a lot of that business stuff, and then something in the community. You know, he's just kind of a natural person that wants to just be a leader, right? He has something to say, and he gonna speak loud about it, right? So
yes, he will.
With that in mind, you know, he felt he needed to come back, and he's over there. He brought me back in with him on the Truth Be Told show, and it's a lot of interesting topics that sometimes can flow from there to here as well. We kind of tap on the same things, and let me make sure I give a big shout out right now to brother Frank Stoner, watching us on social media there. Miss Phyllis Myers, shout out to you, sis. Grand Rising Frank, Grand Rising Phyllis. And I also want to make sure everybody knows that, remember, you can call in 502-776-1350. All right, you can always pick up the phone, 502-776-1350. We're moving into a futuristic world in a minute. You're just going to be able to think about the number and it'll dial by itself. Very soon it's coming to a brain near you. But over there we're doing some great topics. We've got the Unlearn to Relearn segment. We've got the History Untold 400 segment, and we do a lot of talking. And right now, Nishan is in the midst of airing out some of these pimping pastor preachers, as he calls them, and talking about the religious pastors that kind of drag people along and not really giving them life instructions, but just kind of giving them enough to have a feel-good Sunday or a feel-good Wednesday, and nothing really teaching them on a day-to-day basis. So that's fun over there as well, just listening to some of that, man. So you've been on as a guest already, and you already got an open ticket to come back anytime.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. Nishan he's a trailblazer for Louisville, and I sometimes we have bumped heads before, but I can tell you that guy's always trying to turn the page. He's definitely somebody to be listening to, for people to listen to. But yeah, I really enjoy listening to that brother and some of the profound subject that he brings about. Like I said, he's a trailblazer, and he's going to speak his mind, and I definitely appreciate it and have much respect for him on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So it's interesting when we look at our week. I know you've had some things going on this week, and really had a lot of things on your mind, man. You kind of brought to the table a big topic. And even as it pertains to today's show, we are talking about racism versus the Black mentality. Again, racism versus the Black mentality. Who's destroying the Black community more, right? So what is the Black mentality, and is that a high or low frequency? Black on Black crime, Black children born out of wedlock, Black children fatherless, Black canceling successful Blacks, Black selling drugs to other Blacks in the Black community, and Blacks not supporting other Black businesses. So what's destroying our community more, the white man and racism, or the Black mentality? Again, blackity black, 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 black. What's going on, man? What's on your mind? Because this is a hot topic. Because at the same time, I want to talk about this thing right here, but I want to also move into a solution. How do we solve some of these issues that we have? Because the reality that I see is just that we're fighting ourselves, and that's why we're slow moving. That's why 50 years later of voting Democrat, you can find officers' knees still on necks, at least on the media, right? 50 years later, after continuing to go blue for no reason, just because your mom and your daddy did it. I'd even invite people to call in and tell me why you go blue. I'm curious, what is the Democratic ticket ever done for you, really? So, but either way, and at the same time, I hate the divide anyway, but I mean, honestly, it just seems like there's a particular mentality on one side, there's another mentality on the other, right? I don't know. What you think?
Yes, right. Well, before we get into this subject, for the listeners, hey, listen, if you are touched by this subject, please call in. One of the things Joe and I do here is we try to provoke thought. And it doesn't so much mean that we fully believe or the concept of what the content is in the subject. However, we want to provoke thought to see what you think and to try to create a different paradigm in the brain of these thoughts. So when we use the word black, let's put it in the right terms. We're talking about melanated people who descendants were slaves in this country. We're talking about whether you consider yourself a Moor, Hebrew. We are covering the whole gamut. And so we're just using the word black. And we know some of you don't like that word black, but we want to use that word in referring to those whose ancestors been here during slavery. So we want to talk about melanated people.
Yeah, anybody who's got a tint, folks, any type of tint in the skin, even us vanilla folks, we still under that same category because we still deal with the same things.
Exactly. So, but this has been a subject that's been very interesting that somehow has been in my ear, whether it was through Clubhouse or conversations that, of course, myself and my guys here at the warehouse, we talk about. And it's really about the concept of African Americans or those who we call black and this mentality. And so what's interesting, when we talk about the black mentality, however you want to phrase that, we're speaking of the conditions of our people and how we think and move, right? Okay. And so when you look at a situation where we are into who's to blame for the black on black crime, who's to blame for the black incarceration rate, who's to blame for the black selling drugs to black, who's to blame for black men abandoning their children or not wanting nothing to do with their children, who is to blame for not really asserting yourself? So what we're doing here, we're going to iron out some dirty laundry, which reminded me when I made that statement about ironing out the dirty laundry, reminded me of Bill Cosby when he was at the NAACP and he made the statement that black men, you need to take care of your kids and pull up your pants. Well, who got mad at Bill Cosby was black people. And we screamed at him and said, well, you're ironing out our dirty laundry as though we're supposed to keep that secret.
And notice that, folks. We talking about ironing out our dirty laundry. We not necessarily just going to air it out. We're going to iron it out, meaning we're going to clean it up at the same time. But that was funny when Bill Cosby said that. And it's interesting, even when you talk about that, man, let you keep going. But, Bill Cosby, a lot of times people forget Bill Cosby is a dude from South Philly. You know what I mean? So every now and then he's going to say something that white people don't like. And because he has reached the heights that he has, he's going to say something that black people don't like. That's just what happens when you move a little bit higher and you start looking down and you can actually see things now. You outside of that box. And you're looking down and you're looking and you're like, wow, this is a little bit different. When you stuck in the box, you don't notice those things as problems. You don't notice pants sagging and this, that, and the other as problems when you're stuck in the box. You don't notice how people are perceiving that or how you're being perceived and things of that nature when you're stuck in the box. When you're outside the box, you look and you see, and if you got the stage, then you can make some comments about it, and some people gonna get mad. But you know what? Guess what? Y'all should never get mad at the truth. But yeah, you gone, man.
Exactly.
You right on it.
Exactly. So the list that we just gave about the condition of us as a people. Now, when we talk about that, a lot of us in our what is called conscience community, I'm talking to those who are conscious when we're talking about this, we will point the finger at the condition, or we will point the finger of our condition to the white man. Well, it was slavery that is the reason why black men don't take care of their kids today, because while we was only used back then for breeding and impregnated the women, We can talk about, well, how come there's black on black crime? Well, it's the white man that grouped us in this little group, and he's the one that pumps the drugs and the guns in our neighborhood. When we talk about blacks not supporting other black businesses, we continue to always go and point that finger of how we got in this condition, as though we're not responsible at all for this situation that we're in. I would admit that, yes, because of slavery and the redlining and Jim Crow and the mass incarceration targeting black people, I would admit that put us in a certain condition as a people. But I don't understand, and for the life of me, is why we would want to stay there, as though you are not the author of your life, as though you can't write your own book and turn the next page in your life. Like someone is stopping you from approving and trying to make yourself better. And that's the point.
John, so, let me play devil's advocate for a second, right? So
great.
When you say that, then what about the argument or the other side of that argument where one might say, because of all the trauma that has been inflicted upon the black community, then there's a mindset issue there. A lot of people can't see themselves outside that box. Therefore, they do what they know. They do what they see around them. They do what it's almost as if, when you are looking outside the box, you can almost look at it and see it as a perpetual wheel that just keeps turning. One feeds the other thing feeds the other. You talking black on black crime. People say, oh, well, it's because there's no money in the hood. Okay, well, you can go outside the hood and get it. Well, I don't qualify for the jobs. Well, you can go outside and get the education to qualify for the jobs. They threw drugs in the hood and I got addicted to the drugs. Well, you're not now. It's almost as if it's a perpetual wheel. And can we truly say, well, a person isn't, is choosing to not improve, or are they choosing to be comfortable within the box that they see themselves in? Or is that the same thing?
Well, yes. I think you kind of touched on 2 points: whether or not we believe what we think about ourselves, and whether we believe what we think of what the European did to us. There's 2 different things. Of course, now in this society, in this time today, why is it that we gravitate towards negativity opposed to things positive? If I go on Clubhouse and I'm scrolling down the hallway looking at different subjects, the subjects that have the most black people in it are the subjects that are geared towards something derogatory or something negative with the black community, right? Whether is it the black woman's fault? Is it the black man's fault? And what's very interesting is one that said, are rich blacks the problem with the black community, right? And so, we have this stigma when someone gets wealthy or he really asserts himself and he moves out the hood. What do we call him? We call him a sellout. Not white people don't call him a sellout. Black people call him a sellout, as though there's something wrong with success. And so what happens is that when we gain success, we're looked at as sellouts, not looked at as, well, I can achieve that. They did it, I can achieve that. Let that motivate. Instead, somehow we want to stay in this rut, as though we enjoy this rut. Look at the music that we listen to. Look at the shows that we watch. I mean, who makes them turn on that television? So are we really stuck in so many ways? When we're talking about, you and I did a show not too long ago, a few weeks ago, about black homeschool and why it's so important to support black homeschool. We complain about the school system but we don't do anything about it. And so when we talk about black supporting black businesses, why every year we have to remind ourselves to support a black business. You know, I've never heard the Chinese and no other people have to tell their people every year, support the business. Why is that something that we need to tell each other? So here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this, that if you are saying that it is what we are conditioned into, then is that not being black? Because we're talking about blackness, right? So we're talking about the conscious black. So if the concept is we can't achieve because the white man done put this in our head, is that not a black frequency of being black? Because we connect this behavior with the black community, right? And we accept it as the black community, and then we blame the white man for the black community. So in essence, the frequency of being black has no real effort in achieving great goals for us. Just the thought of that is a low frequency. And where did it come from, right? And so I think at that point, you know, we are kind of in a way stuck in a condition, but whose fault is it? Is it really our fault and why we can't move out of it? Or is it their fault? Do they really have traps on us? Is there something stopping you from achieving a better education? Is there something stopping you from getting a tax ID? Is there something stopping you from buying land? Is there something stopping you from saving 1/3 of your income, right? Is there something making you spend all your money every week you get it to where you are now one check away from being homeless? Is there something stopping you from improving your credit? And those kind of things, when we talk about that, you know what they say? You know what they say when I bring that up in a conversation? They say that, oh, you are speaking white supremacy points. Those are code words for white supremacy by telling a black man to get himself together and improve himself. So those are white supremacy talking points is what they call it, right? So it'd be damn if I do and damn if I don't. I have to just leave it alone and just stay black and not say nothing about the condition of black people and not point the finger at us for this condition. I just think something's wrong with that picture if we can't accept the responsibility.
Well, you're right with that, because you know, I gotta take a deep breath on this one, but bruh, it's as if you're right. But see, that's a society as a whole that has you know, come to a space where we point the finger elsewhere for everything. Look at what's happening right now in the public. There's this argument about, you know, Instagram and Facebook and social media sites being responsible for excuse me, the demise of children who have committed suicide and online bullying and this, that, and the other. Now, if one took responsibility, you'd say, okay, isn't that the fault of the parents for allowing such things in their children's life? There's this society that says that, oh, children are supposed to have space and they can go in their room, lock their door, they can do this, that, and that. When I was growing up, man, you can't go in your room and lock your door all willy-nilly like that. Nah, Pops paid for that. He paid for the door, he paid for the room, he paid for the steps that I walked to the room. You know what I mean? So I couldn't just, you know, as a child growing up, just go in my room and make a bomb. You know, my parents didn't just not know what was going on with me, where I was going, where I was trying to go. I mean, hell, I was so bad at sneaking out and stuff, you know, getting caught was what made me not do it as much, right? Because I'd get caught growing up. But it's just, we have a society that says it's everyone else's fault. You know, every year, every 10 years, the weight of a child increases at each age, right? So every 10 years, a 10-year-old child, 10 years ago, the normal accepted weight for that child was X, right? And every 10 years, the normal accepted weight for that child goes up. What are we, like, morphing or something like that? I mean, what, all of a sudden now the children are different, so it's acceptable for them to be this much higher weight at the same age as 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. I mean, that's terrible and that's silly. So now what happens is now you normalize obesity in children, and all of a sudden nobody's taking responsibility for, in situations like we have now where obese children are dying of COVID, for instance, right? And all of a sudden it's everybody else's fault, or even an obese adult dying of COVID, right? You got a breathing issue with obesity, and then COVID comes in, and now you got two breathing issues you dealing with, but it's COVID's fault, right? No, it's our fault. We are supposed to take care of our bodies, right? But they don't teach that in society. They don't teach health and wellness. Well, guess what? Nobody taught me how to thwart off Crohn's disease, but I said I knew the end results of what I've seen with Crohn's disease. I said I didn't want to walk around with no bag on my hip, no poop bag on my hip. Therefore, I researched myself and figured out that if I do this, that, and the other, I could thwart off Crohn's disease, at least make myself feel better, right? And my doctor told me, hey, Joe, if it feels better, then do it. Cool. And next thing you know, I don't have to deal with those severe effects anymore, and don't have to go through the surgeries of my intestines being cut out and all this, that, and the other because of that. Why? Because I took on responsibility myself. It's my fault. Let me go ahead and fix this. So that's the thing that I see, is a lack of responsibility coupled with ignorance, and people just want to focus on what they know rather than focus on what they don't know. I think focusing on what you don't know is a good thing, because that allows you to begin to research, right? And you begin to learn some things. So, ignorance, along with it, I believe, is a big problem as well when you start talking about everything you just mentioned.
Yeah, I agree. But definitely it falls back into our lap. Absolutely. And so where do we go with the discussion? And I'm still hearing that it is the Europeans, it's the government fault for our condition.
Well, look at this. Look at this comment. You read that comment that Kari Muhammad said?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to read this for the radio listeners there. I've never heard anyone Black say that we are not at all responsible for the negative issues in our community. I think we have always admitted that the issues come from many angles. I think that more enlightened people admit that. And I think that more enlightened people agree that we have a responsibility. But I believe that there's a large sect of people that continue to want to point the finger elsewhere.
Correct. That's exactly right. And that becomes the issue. But again, I think that any point of the finger other than blaming ourselves for our condition is at fault. And I think this is when we do this, we make the white man so powerful. We make him. Let me tell you something. If he created these Negroes, and this is one powerful white man. I mean, he must be in a God sense that he produced what we are. And I think that becomes the issue, because here's where it comes from. This is why I said the frequency. It's this. What do you think of yourself? And how you view yourself is extremely important. Do you think you are low? Do you think you are Black? Do you think you are a Negro? Do you think you are a nigger? Do you think you are not worthy of greatness? And so it's based on what you think. And this is why I say you can turn the page in that life by changing the way you think of yourself, regardless of what the Europeans have done to you. You can change your condition by changing the way you think. I think the low frequency is that we buy into it. Listen, I was just reading something I was having a discussion with the other day about frequency. And here's what came up about frequency. So I was reading this book called Creation Frequency, and there's a creation frequency that's called 528 hertz. It's a creation frequency. In fact, the earth rotates on this created frequency, 528 hertz, right? And so I came across this information about 808 frequency. Well, guess what 808 frequency is? 808 frequency is a low vibration frequency. It creates the low desires. It entices the low desires for sex, murder, drugs, right? And guess what? That 808 frequencies are in the hard music with the bass, with the electronic bass sound. That creates the 808 frequencies that people put their rap music on top of. We're not paying attention here or what we're doing to ourselves, right? By using the 808 frequency and then putting negative lyrics on it. And let me give you another one. Nicki Minaj got a song out. It's called Something Her Wet Vagina, right? Mm-hmm. And so, do you know that they have taken the lyrics of, they've taken the music of that song and made it a child's music for child's play lyrics on YouTube and Nickelodeon and these children, right? And so what are we doing when we do that? We're giving them the message of what Nicki Minaj is saying with the music itself, without the lyrics. Well, guess what that child does when it finally hears the real lyrics? When they found the real lyrics from the same song, they make these songs nursery rhymes. And they change the lyrics, but it's the same tune. So that you got the kids dancing to a tune that is actually created for negativity. And we accept that. So whose fault is that? Are we that naive to what we're doing to ourselves to the point to where this godly white man can do what he will with our music or with our lyrics and do it to us like that? I think that's a problem if we don't wake that up. And I think this is the point here, Joe, is that we're pointing it out and letting people aware. Those of you who are listening, go look up 808 frequency and understand where it comes from. And there are some good 808 frequencies because why? Marvin Gaye used 808 frequency in sexual healing. Right? See, it's a low vibrational sex desire frequency. And so, yes, Marvin Gaye said great things about love because back then it was about love. It wasn't about just wham, bam, have sex and go your way. And so, but it's a low frequency vibration that is attached to your desires. Right? And that's not a high vibration. It's not a high vibration. It's not a vibration of achievement. It's not a vibration of creativity. You are a creator. You should be hovering around 528 frequency to create something into this life that you can share with humanity. Why is that a problem with just understanding that concept?
You know, it's a trip, and that made me think about like.
Somebody said that's Cardi B. Okay, great. Thank you for telling me that.
Absolutely, and you know that's interesting. That's a shout out to Omni Electra. You know, trauma becomes culture. Is something he's saying out there on social media as well, and that's powerful right there when you really think about it. But 808, I never knew that, man. I never knew that 808 was that frequency because that makes me think about Big Boy and his song 808. You know, he actually has a song called 808, and I think there was an album as well called 808, and you know, it was about them drums, but at the same time, I don't think people are really realizing how deep that goes. So, you know, when you start thinking about that, I mean, I find the trauma and the issues as layers. So, you know, back to when Kari Muhammad said it, you know, it's coming from all angles. It's layered. And it's like, how can you peel back this onion and get to the good stuff? You know, I mean, in this day and age, it's coming from everywhere. In my mind, you'd have to blow the earth up and start over again, right? So I don't see how there. I guess it just goes back to me in my mind is that everybody can't go. That's been my saying since the beginning of the pandemic last year, as myself and many others were starting to think a little bit differently as we see different things. Then I just realized that everybody can't go. Shout out to Frank Stoner online. He's saying the Mexicans, Arabs, Jewish, Africans, Amish have no problem building. Why don't the white man stop them? I guess because they don't see the white man as the boogeyman. And so one would go back.
That's right.
One would go back and they would say, well, Black people see the white man as the boogeyman because at one point he was their boogeyman and they could not do more than what was required or asked of them by the white man because there was a point in America that the white man was their boogeyman. There was no more coming together or Harambe. There was no more Harambe among us as a people as much, not in our definitive culture, right? It became an African American culture, which had been coupled with and intermingled with division that we typically weren't used to before, right? You know, or not in that manner. I mean, I think, you know, when you look at past 400 years ago and you look across the waters, you know, even I think enslavement was more of an indentured servitude than anything. It definitely wasn't the chattel slavery that we know here in America. It was more of an indentured servitude as before, you know, but one might look and say, well, you were slaves nonetheless. Even you guys enslaved each other, you know, but again, it was a different type of enslavement. It was indentured servitude. But with that in mind, man, I just feel like in America, we have, you know, there's just so many layers of things. I don't know how we can get out of it. And so it just means that some people will peel back the layers of those onions and come up out of that way of thinking, whereas others won't. You know. Shout out to Phyllis Myers. She says we were the major nation to overpower before slavery. Wow. What you think about that?
Yes, I think who we were before we was enslaved are correct. We were in that scenario. But look at what Ami mentioned about trauma became culture. Is that what that comment was? Yeah, trauma becomes culture. And that's interesting because somehow, why is it that we do gravitate towards the negative things in our community opposed to the positive, as though the positive is not out there? Like I was saying, I can scroll through Clubhouse and I can see the ones that has the most blacks in it, while at the same time I'm scrolling through Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm scrolling through Think and Be Wealthy, Think and Be Rich, Abundant. And these conversations where people are building, there's a conversation on Clubhouse that's called Millionaire Breakfast Club. And so you look at these and you be like, there was one that was a gentleman was doing on how to make $10,000 a month on Amazon. When you know, 6 people in the room. When you go into these rooms and you see the gravitating towards the negativity, it's mostly African Americans. It's black. It's melanated people. When you go into these positive rooms, you see very little African American. You see a few, but you see more white people, but you see less African American. So is it something that we have accepted as a culture of this behavior to where we can't get out of it if it became our culture? And this is why I referred it to as a frequency that we are attached to. And so, yes, he's right about how this became our way of life. And we accepted it. We accept the drugs in our community. Let me tell you what we'll do. I find black people will, whether they do it on social media, on their podcasts, and I noticed that some very successful YouTubers who have podcasts, the black ones, some of the very successful ones, they choose a negative person or a person and bring about a negative conversation about them to get people to come into their views. Now, what's interesting is that draws in attention But if he does something positive, he won't get attention. So therefore, how the YouTubers make money is through people, how many people they get, right? And so the negativity draws into people, but the positives don't. So I mean, so at some point, do we see the demise here, and can we wake up from it, or do we continue to point the finger and walk over it and act like it does not exist?
Bruh, I mean, I'm sitting and I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking a lot at the same. What I'm thinking about more is things that I've seen. So, for instance, when you talk about the positive, moving forward in business, right? You know, people have plenty of business ideas out there. I think an idea, I've heard it said by Earl Nightingale, an idea is the most important thing in the world, right? It's one of the most important things in the world. It's an idea, right? So people will have ideas, and I'm talking more about what I see. They want to do business, right? But in order to work a regular job and then create a business, you're going to have to take some of your off time from your regular job, and you're going to have to focus on creating that business. So that means that times that you would sit and just chill, watch some TV or whatever the case may be, is going to now have to be sacrificed in order to build something over here that could potentially take over the financial income or the income of your job. You're going to have to sacrifice some of that time, some of that lounge time, some of that day off time, in order to, because if you don't, there's no other way for you to create this business on the side without having to sacrifice some of your normal leisure time. But if you, let's just say you jump in, you smoking weed, you know, that's cool. I don't knock nobody for being a everyday morning, noon, and night weed smoker. But the reality is that it's gonna make you a little lazy. All right, you're not going to carry that same thought process. You know, you'll have the idea, but to carry it out, you're gonna get a little lazy along the way, right? And that's just reality. I'm talking about what I've seen, what I've experienced. So that's just reality. And from person to person, I'll see the same thing, right? So it's not just one person. Doesn't just that's a majority that I see in that same predicament, right? So you layer it with that, right? So and then we in this day and age is considered a black thing, right? That's what black people do, you know, and I'm throwing my hands up with quotation marks there. But so, you know, that's part of our quote unquote culture. So now we're lazy, right? Your friends come along and you're going to gravitate to people that are of like mindset. So the same lazy minded, you know, overuse of weed smoking friends are going to be around you, and they're going to all go through the same thing. Y'all going to sit, y'all going to smoke weed, you're going to have these great ideas, and you're not going to follow through with them because you're too busy stuck in on this gerbil wheel of laziness, right? So again, it's layered, it's layered, it's layered. So then when you see success, I don't know, you see successful people and you see that they are doing things opposite of what you do, but they're successful. So now how do we get people to jump over to that other side and notice that, okay, those successful people aren't waking up smoking weed all day, every day. Those successful people, they actually spend more time on their business. They spend more time on self-improvement. They spend a lot of time, oh man, you know what? Forget that. It's my day off. I need to chill. It's my day off. So how do we get people to jump over that, John? Because that's the reality, is that in order for us, everything that we're talking about, the mentality, in order for us to step out of that box, because that box is what it is, in order for us to step out of that box, we have to first see that the things going on within that box are problematic, right? Because outside of that, all you do is look inside that box and you think it's normal. You know what I mean? So how do you get people to look outside the box and find and realize that, wow, what I've been doing all this time is normal mediocrity. I'm a mediocre normal person. I'm a normal mediocre person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see your brain moving, man. You speak on it.
Yeah, because you know we are the author, we are the architects of our lives, and so now when we're talking about the downside of the black culture, there is another side of the black culture, and that is the success side of the black culture. There are a lot of us, you and I, are very comfortable and successful in our own right. Mm-hmm. Right? We ain't out here hanging on the corner. We're taking care of our kids, you know. And so there's a side, like we talk about social proof podcasts. We talk about these. We've been having positive individuals on our show with forex trading and day trading, right? And so there is a side of us. But now check this out. When we own one side don't celebrate success. The other side does celebrate black success. You see what I'm saying? One side can accept you coming in talking about your success. The other side is not willing to allow you to talk about your success. You have to talk about the failure. Because some of us, like the culture is, we have to gravitate towards what is negative. But there's another side of us who are successful, who are doing better, who are not smoking weed all day, who are not sleeping in the middle of the day, but they're getting some stuff done. So there is two different cultures here, right inside the black quote unquote culture. But the majority, and I'm gonna tell you this, those on this other side feel the heat of those who say we're gonna counsel you. You done sold us out. You didn't spend your millions and build your home in the hood, and don't even know what individuals do. Like I hear people criticize Jay-Z all the time, and you don't know what Jay-Z do every day. People don't have a clue, but because they don't see him, right? Mm-hmm. When people have wealth, they move differently. That's just that simple. Try to get some, and I guarantee you will move differently. And I think
the number one reason why they're gonna move differently. The number one reason why is because as you get wealth, as you gain wealth, or as you gain knowledge on how to get wealth, your number one priority at that point is focused on how to keep the wealth and how to increase the wealth. So you gonna move differently because that now becomes your focus. Because why? You don't want to be without that wealth ever again. Why? Because you like it up here. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the problem. People think something's wrong with that. It's okay to like being wealthy and to dislike being broke. It's okay. That's fine.
Exactly.
And but again, our culture says if you get a little bit too much money, it must be because of this, that, and the other that you sold your soul in order to do. It must be because of this, that, and the other. And guess what? If you focus on that, and that becomes your reality. If you continue to focus on that, that becomes so very real to you that the reason why those people got that wealth is because they had to sell their soul. So now you're no longer trying to strive to become that wealthy because you believe that you have to sell your soul to get it. Why don't you focus on trying to prove them wrong that you don't have to sell your soul to get it? Prove them wrong that you can get wealthy, have God in the forefront, and all the things that you feel is necessary to be opposing to those other people and get wealthy that way. But guess what? I promise you, as you get there, your number one focus is going to be how to protect your wealth, and your people that you left behind are going to look at you sideways, and you're going to be one of those people that they look at and say, hey, you got there because you sold your soul or some craziness like that.
Actually, you mentioned a very great point. You mentioned something that is a blockage in most of our minds that blocks us from getting wealthy. And that's that block that feel like you got to sell your soul to get wealthy, because we assume that people who are wealthy did not get their wealth based on their talent. They got their wealth based on signing over some type of sacrifice to Illuminati or some type of sacrifice with some type of organization. This is a blockage, and this can become a part of our culture that we believe that in order for you to get wealthy, you somehow have to sign yourself over to something. And that is so ridiculous. But again, it exists. Here, I came from the hood, and I know people, and so I know a lot of people. It's still in the hood. When I'm visiting my stores, I see people that I grew up with. I see people that I have served time in prison with, and sometimes I get some that really celebrates my success and say, man, I'm proud of you. And then I get some that say, man, how come you don't hang out with us no more? What are you, too good? You too good to hang out with us, you know? And so that's kind of the two folds that you get from individuals. Some individuals are comfortable in being broke. Some individuals are comfortable with waking up, getting high all day, and like you said, doing nothing. Some of us are comfortable with having what is called an 8-hour mentality. Go to work 8 hours and spend the other 16 hours or what's left with watching TV, watching the game, and sitting around doing nothing, right? And so you are, again, the architect of your life. So if you're listening to this, you're going to either gravitate to it or you're going to turn it off. Like, I think those who are listening to this constantly right now, listen to this, if you haven't turned it off, then probably you are gravitating towards success. You're gravitating towards something to improve yourself. Those who are not listening or who was listening and turned it off, these are those who want to remain in that condition.
Let me say, absolutely, we have less listeners when it comes to anything that is pointing the finger at ourselves. That is a fact. Yes. And especially if we post anything in social media that points the finger at ourselves, we have less people that want to like and share that post or comment. When it comes to, positive things in general, less people. But when it comes to, just sitting here talking about whose fault it is, then most definitely, if it's other people's fault, we get a lot of people. Or, we having an argument about, if we was to have a show about Breonna Taylor right now, bro, we would definitely get a lot of people tuning in and listening in more than not. And it's a reality, but it's that culture. And speaking of culture,
yes, it is.
I want to make sure that you guys understand that when you step out here into the public, right? You're not feeling too well, right? You need some herbal healing. You need some supplement healing. Well, guess what? Check out healthdaddywow.net. Okay, again, healthdaddywow.net. You got to check them out, because if you go to healthdaddywow.net and place an order, then you yourself are going to find some amazing things at healthdaddywow.net. All right, you're talking about 100% or organic or plant-based supplements, right? So healthdaddywow.net, you can check them out. You can also hit them up here locally in Louisville, Kentucky at 1806 Ralph Avenue, right? They open at 11 a.m. Today. So check them out. Make sure you let them know that you heard it on the Tipping Point Show, okay? Because they have everything in there, from beads to crystal pipes, real crystal pipes. Them joints is heavy. They have all type of different supplements in there. My man's is in there, Brother Frank Stoner, packing it away himself. So definitely check them out. You also want to make sure that next time you step in any corner store, right? There's over 400 of these stores in the tri-state area, from Cincinnati to Nashville to Louisville, Kentucky. And folks, you can check out Abibi Toomey Trading, right? Online, they have their retail store, which is Abibi Toomey, or actually abibitrading.com. Looks like you didn't tighten up some things on the website there. So abibitrading.com.
Yeah, they're working.
You working it out. All right.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. It's looking good on there too, folks. Again, abibitrading.com. That's ABIBI trading.com. All right. Those incense and everything that you see, the oils, you can even get frankincense. So if you see somebody and you want to treat them like Jesus, then go ahead and you can get some frankincense from abibitrading.com. Right now, if you step in any of the stores locally, again, go ahead and look for Saya Baba incense, right? Look for soap sticks products. You know, you want to support the people in your community. So again, make sure you hit them up, folks. And again, that is abibitrading.com. And I'm gonna give this shout out as well to godslivesmatter.com. Make sure you check them out, folks. godslivesmatter.com. Every life has infinite value. That you can click their apparel link and you can wear the big purple shirt with the big bold letters saying God's Lives Matter, right? So back to you, Brother John. We're getting ready to get out of here for the last minute of the show, man. Go ahead and drop something for us. How do we move forward real quick?
Well, for this winter, I guarantee you, we're going to have another virus coming. We're going to have another flu virus coming. So you definitely want to pump up some great herbs and get your vitamin C, get your vegetables up. It's a great time to go visit Frank at that time, Health Daddy Wow, so that you can get whatever supplements you need to strengthen your immune system and get you prepared for this winter, because I mean, this is going to be a deep one right here, because this is going to start. We done skip fall and we're right into winter.
Yeah.
So it's best to start preparing yourself right now for your health, getting your health together, dropping weight, still drop that weight, get that mucus out your body and all that fat blubber that you don't need, so that you can improve your breathing and your immune system.
Absolutely,
get
folks.
It in.
And until next time, next week, same place, same time. Remember, you can always check us out as well at WLOUonline.com, folks. You can go there and check out the station and every show, every part. Shout out to our engineer, Brother Jay Has. We'll see you guys next week right here on 104.7 WLOU, the Tipping Point Morning Show. Until next week. Peace.
Over 70 years of serving the American 107 FM 13.
All right, my brother, you there?
All right, brother.
All right, my brother, you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. All right.
All right.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
I tell you what, it's interesting as we think about, today's show. I honestly feel like, we definitely get less conversation, from the people. I think that our specific listening and viewing audience would rather talk more about the solution.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely. But at the same time, I feel like some of the people that we're trying to reach, they have a disdain for talking about anything that has to do with them being the problem. You know, yet those are the people that we're trying to reach. Believe me, I've seen it. I've had to hear from, you know, even people in my circle that I try to empower and enlighten. I've had to hear things about, you know, oh, don't keep telling me that, you know, you keep saying the same thing over and over. You keep talking about, you know, how I need to sacrifice in order to make this happen, blah, 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 blah. You know, the reality is that if you care about someone, if you care about something, if you care about people or a person, then you're going to speak on particular issues more so, right? Because you care about them. You want them to be better. And so you'll speak on issues as it pertains to them. You don't walk around to random people that are doing crazy stuff or not living their best lives. You don't walk around to those random people and try to enlighten them. You know, you don't walk down the street and see the homeless person and just walk up to them all the time and say, you know what, I could show you how to be better. I could show you how to get to, you know, people don't do that, right? But for your loved ones, the people close to you especially, you do that, right? You share information with them, and it's really another form of love, right? Because if I didn't love you, then I wouldn't share that information, right? I wouldn't give you, I wouldn't try to pull you up, enlighten you, or anything like that, right? So it's interesting because that means that the conversation is had less. The conversation about building is had less, because for those that are still inflicted mentally and sucked into this world of low vibrational thinking and doing, they're not having that conversation, you know, and they're not having it on purpose, you know. And so it's interesting when we start talking about that, but it's like, how, you know, again, when we talk about moving forward, listen, folks, you can go to YouTube at any point and just type in anything you want to type, you know, type in, you know, how do I become more successful? You know, if you type that in, there's a bunch of stuff that will pop up, a bunch of motivational videos. And when you start talking about that, most of these motivational videos, the people who are speaking are people who are proven, right? So you ain't got to listen to me as I'm building my business over here, and maybe the lack of a Lamborghini or what have you denotes that I haven't reached that level of success. So you ain't got to listen to me. You can go and you can type in, you can Google, you can go listen to people that, you know, you can research and see all the businesses, the business owners that they have helped, all these big, large companies that they have helped. You can go and listen to them if you want, but do something from one day to the next to help yourself be better. If somebody says that, you know what, you don't smile enough, guess what? Go stand in the mirror and practice your smile. Right? If somebody says that you know what, you in public have a speaking voice that needs to be improved upon, guess what? Go stand in the mirror and talk and watch yourself as you talk and try to over enunciate things so that you can be better at that. Anything that there is, you have the ability to go out and improve business owners that they have helped things so that you can. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat it, folks.
Hey, I sent Frank a link. He said he wants to come on with us. Okay,
cool. Yeah, we can build for a minute. I know one of the things I'm about to do today is I'm going down to, in a little bit, over at the Derby City Flea Market. I'm hoping they're still out there. Maybe this might be the last week because it's getting cold. But there's a farm. Well, I don't know if it's a farm, but they just sell a bunch of fruits and vegetables out front of the Derby City Flea Market. And I'm about to go over there today and see if I can grab a bunch of stuff, because they sell it pretty inexpensive over there. And, plenty of juicing vegetables and things of that nature that I'm going to use it for, and just try to pack my fridge more and more with the raw fruits and vegetables. What's going on, Brother Health, Daddy, Wow, family, Frank Stoner? What's up, man?
I'm doing great, fellas. I'm doing great. I just want to say, great show as always. You brothers are always hitting on points. And what we need, and actual solutions to the issues that we have. It's unfortunate that we don't have as many listeners, or people don't want to hear it as much as trauma type issues, which I truly believe you are fixing that in our community, and you having more and more people trying to get on board with that. So stay on course, and they will come, because it is people out there that listen to you all, and that hope comes about. That long time ago when I started, there wasn't many like minds. And now, when I did hear somebody with a like mind, it was so refreshing. Mm-hmm. And that's what you guys do. Believe it or not, 2, 3, 4 people listening on that radio and hear you all, and they're like, dang, I knew it wasn't just me. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to call and say that. And I also want to say real quick, man, you all hit on some really good points about the you hear about the trauma that we inherit and all that, and then you say, well, we don't have to keep that, and we have to move forward. And the reason why I say that about the Arabs, Mexicans, Africans who have built their own little thing up around 7th Street, and the Africans come up there and support. What do they all have in common? They have inner support. They do it without thinking.
Right.
So we got to relearn that. And I think we a lot of times we have that, I say, take a pill mentality. And what I do, use this as an example real quick. People come in and they say they've been diagnosed with as a pre-diabetic. Now, I don't diagnose anything. I just listen and I give my opinion on what I've learned over my 15 years of doing herbals and learning. So they expect to come in, they say, well, what do you have for pre-diabetes? Okay, so they're looking for a pill.
Yes.
You follow me? They're looking for a quick fix. So I make it clear, and I want to make it clear on the radio, there are no quick fixes.
Right.
So what I do is I tell them, I pull out my sheet of paper, and if you are pre-diabetic, what I would do, and I give them a list of what you have to stop doing before. Now, there is herbals out there that help with sugar in the blood, like ganyma leaf, burdock root, help with, sugar issues. But I don't go there first. What I do is say, if you're pre-diabetic, then you need to quit eating the pancakes, the fried fish, the bread, the potatoes, the pasta, the soda. That's where you have to start. See, and we done been over this before. And see, if you don't tell them that, they think they can come in and take something as they are taught in mainstream. You can come in and take something and continue these bad habits that you've been doing all your life. So I just wanted to bring that back to all brothers and whomever's listening, that it's called personal responsibility, Joe. It's called sacrifice. It's called discipline. You have to do all that first you know, before we can even get together on anything. And
Yeah,
listen,
but that's the thing though. That's the thing though, Frank. It's hard to do all that stuff. It's hard because it's so much easier to just get the pill, Frank. Would you give me the pill? Frank, I want the pill. Give me the pill, Frank. That's all I want. Don't talk to me about fruits and vegetables and why French fries is a cancer-causing carcinogen. I don't want to know about that, Frank. I just want the pill. Would you give me the pill, Frank? I mean, that's the reality, right?
That's the reality. And see, another reality is, Joe, if I give you that pill and you continue pasta and spaghetti and meatballs every single day, then what you gonna do? You gonna say, F daddy stuff don't work.
That's right.
F daddy stuff don't work. So you gonna get the rundown with me on every single thing that you're supposed to do. Discipline. When I first got into health, or accumulating what I needed to build my store, I cut out things that I didn't think I needed, like cable TV. We'd have been over that, movies, entertainment. You know, a lot of them things I just cut it off because it wasn't more important than what I was trying to build and what I was trying to do for myself. So I go ahead. It's discipline. That's all a part of discipline. And I appreciate you guys. Keep hammering that home because you're not going to do it without discipline.
Let me ask you a question, because this subject that we talked about, actually listening to you, it actually surrounds our health too. Because when you think about our culture is eating. Our culture is designed to eating bad. If you look at the restaurants in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And so here we are, I guess in a sense, pointing out the problem. Inside pointing out the problem, there is the solution by listening to what the problem is.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I just heard you talk about the person who comes in and say they're pre-diabetic. And so inside that problem, you point out the problem by saying, well, this, and this, and this is what you're eating. Stop eating this and this, and that is the solution. So here we are talking about black on black crime as a solution. Stop black on black crime. Blacks selling drugs to blacks. We're given the problem. We're telling you the problem. Isn't it not evident that there's a solution in the discussion? I mean, sometimes we need a silver platter just to give it to us.
But it you know what it is? It's because the problem isn't wrapped up in something easy. It's not a pill. That's what the problem is. The problem is that the problem or the solution is not wrapped up easy enough for people to just do something so simple and take it. But see, the problem with that type of thinking is that, dude, you've taken however many years you are old and created the problem. You ain't gonna fix it in 1 second or in a small amount of time of focusing on the solution. And the problem with a lot of people, even when I talked about business, right? Talk about business, I see people where they want to do this business, right? But it requires hard work. So when they start putting in those same type of low vibration, low mentality people, when they start putting in, when they do put forth a little effort, but it don't work out quick enough. It doesn't produce what you need quick enough, or what you're doing is too small to you don't see it because you want to get to the big cars and the big everything like that, right? I'm guilty of it. I did it, growing up. I've had that same mentality. Why? Because that's culture, right? But when it's not easy and simple, and it requires hard work, well, all those layers of everything that is actually helping to create the problem start to fall back and cover over you and those layers start layering up on top of you, and you get comfortable and back into your lazy rut to where you say, you know what, I'm okay right here. I'm gonna just do this because in order to do that, I gotta keep taking my finger and posting this new company every day. That's hard work. That's too much, you know, and that's what happens.
Let me say this too, real quick. Those different cultures I mentioned, I forgot about the Pakistanis. I mean, we could go on and on with people who come here to America.
Everybody other than us.
Open up businesses in our neighborhood and make it. Now, I've heard, and I don't know if you guys can shed some light on this, but they say they give these people money, the government or their government give them money, and so forth and so on. You know, I don't know. I don't know these people.
Hey. Let me tell you something real quick, Frank. But while you saying that, real quick, I've actually heard it from the horse's mouth being said that the government don't give us no whole bunch of money. The government we don't just come here and now Michon actually laid this out last Tuesday because we actually spoke on this. And so this is a great point that he pulled out. You know, in his own conversation with a store owner in the West End of Louisville of Arabic nationality, right? He said, no, let me tell you what we do. When we're over in our other country, we believe that America is the promised land. We believe that that's a place that we can go and find some freedom to create and do, right? So what we do is we collectively come together in a village or in a group of family or what have you, and we point out the person who we think we can send over to America. We pull our monies together and we send that person to America with money in order to start this business. We have identified that the Black community is the best place to do it because the white community won't allow us. This is from the horse's mouth. The white community will not allow us to open up our liquor stores, to open up our smoke shops and things of that nature. We find it better in the Black community. And so they collectively come together. They collectively come together. They send a person. They send them with money. This person starts this business. This person begins to make the business flourish, and then begins to pay for others to come over, and they exponentially grow and take money and open up other businesses. Now you start to see a whole community of them in one place, and they're all business owners as such. Hold on one second, because I think that phone call coming in messed up my sound. Give me un moment.
John, you still there?
Yes, I am. And I wanted to address that point because I definitely am in a business relationship with a lot of the foreigners here in Louisville and Lexington and Cincinnati, and from the Africans, from the Somalians and the Ethiopians, which are the major two Africans that are here. There are also Senegalese, they are here. And they have their own little shop. The Senegalese opened up their own little culture shops. Maybe they sell in African clothes. Some of them have what is called halal food marks, which they sell the foods from back home here. And those are the Senegalese. Then you have the Ethiopians who will open up a liquor store, and the Somalians, okay, that will open up stores in the Black neighborhood. Now, every scenario is different based on where they're from in so many ways. Now, here's the thing. I know Africans who came over here driving cabs, and then they will sell tapes and stuff out of the trunk of their car. Next thing you know, Abu that has the store on 18th and Broadway, been there for years. I've been knowing him for a quite long time. He started out driving the cab. Okay. Now you have the Koreans. They're a little different. Some of the Koreans has this thing called what they call car, and I forgot what the definition of car means, C-A-R. But they come live together in one house. and they'll work different jobs, and they'll pool all their money together, and then they'll invest all that money in one individual who will go out and open up a hair store, and then those will go work for him, the one that opened the store. Then they'll put money back into the pot, and then the next one open up a store, and so it goes like that. But there's one group that is I think it's Somalians. No, I think it's Ethiopians. Ethiopians do have a credit line with their government that will send them money to open up. Now, that's the only ones I know. They're not getting money from this government. That's for sure, right? And so, just the same as the Arabs, I know the Arabs from whether they are from Kuwait, Baghdad, or Palestinians. Now, the Palestinians are different than the Pakistanis. I'm gonna tell you about the Palestinians. The Palestinians came out of the West Bank, which was in relationships in Israel with the Jews. So as the war went on with the West Bank, which was what the Jews was trying to get, they made a deal with the Palestinians to sell their land. And this is what I'm writing about in what I call the chapter is called the Arab Spring. And so what they did was they bought their land, gave them some money, and gave them a free visa to come to the United States. And it was the Jews that told the Palestinians, because it was the Palestinians first that came to the black community after the Jews pulled out. And so what they told them was that if you get this money, go and open up a store in the black community. The black community will support you no matter what. And that's how the Pakistanis came. When the Pakistanis came, the other Arab nationalities started to come. And that's how they all started to kind of roll in to the country. Most of the Pakistanis here that I was doing business with here from 20 years ago, most of them came from Chicago by way of Newark, New Jersey, because they actually have a whole community in New Jersey, right? And so they branch out and they open up their stores. I know a guy named Freddie, he's dead now. Freddie was one of the first Palestinian Arabs that came here. If you ever heard of Freddie liquor stores all over, that's him. And so his family still owned the buildings. But let me tell you the story that he told me. So he was selling jewelry when he came to Louisville. And he came to Louisville from Chicago, and he saw the opportunity here. So he opened up his first store right here in Louisville. Well, this is when he told his cousins, I know all of them, Jimmy, I know all the cousins that got the stores here, Jimmy liquor store, right? And so he's got several liquor stores. They all started coming here. And here's why they came to Louisville, and they bypassed Indianapolis. They bypassed Indianapolis because Indianapolis do not allow you to open up a corner store in a residential neighborhood. If you go to Indianapolis, you only have basically two streets. It's called Keystone and 38th Street, where all your stores are. In the inner part of the neighborhood, you don't see no stores. Here in Louisville, the zoning is different. You can take a corner store, you can take a corner house in a residential neighborhood and zone it for a store. Then you can own a liquor store, then you can do, and that's the difference. Well, if you go out in the suburbs, out in Hirschborn, you can't open a store unless you own the strip. You can't open a store where the homes, the subdivisions and the homes are. You can't do that. So Freddie saw the great opportunity here in Louisville, and so he told the other Arabs, his other friends, and they started coming, and that's why I call it the Arab Spring.
So just think about that, for a second. And the biggest part about that was that there was a collective thinking.
Yes.
There was a collective way of thinking, and that is what allows them to do what they do, because they collectively come together, they collectively put money together, they collectively make decisions on how we're going to go from point A to point Z, right? So they collectively do that. Now, I want to jump back real quick when it comes to some of this health and wellness, right? So again, you can go and research this stuff yourself. I'm gonna show you guys just a little bit about where I was researching when it comes to health and wellness. Because again, we have to attack something that nurturing your body is probably the most important thing you do on a day-to-day basis. You know, with that being said, having mental clarity has a lot to do with what you put in your mouth every day, right? Why? Simple. Coagulated blood. The more crap that you put into your body that your body doesn't recognize and has no use for, that stuff just begins to flow throughout your bloodstream and it begins to thicken your blood. So what happens is as your blood thickens, you have less nutrients and less oxygen floating throughout your blood to get to the different organs. Now, because of the amazingness of our bodies, how resilient they are, it takes some time for things to break down. Now, the medical community knows this because they say at this age, you should get checked for that. Men should get checked for that. They say at this age, women should get checked for that. So they know that it takes X amount of years, 50 years old, men should get checked for prostate cancer, right? It takes that amount of years for things to begin to break down. And so the medical community already knows this stuff. That's right. Right. Yeah. And how do they, what do they point, or let's just look at common sense. What could you be doing for 50 years that would create this problem that would denote that the medical community would say at 50 years old, you need to get checked for prostate cancer, men? What is it that you could be doing for those 50 years to create that problem? Yeah, what's the one commonality that all humans would have as to why they would give a blanket statement like men, period? And again, and even when we start talking about prostate cancer, there's an emphasis on Black men, right? What is it that we could be doing? It's eating. Yeah. Nourishing the body is literally the most important thing that you do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. I'm gonna share screen and just real quick, just quick little tips. When it comes to this, let's see. No, we're gonna share screen 3, share, and watch this. Boom. Here's a book right here. It's called Beating Cancer with Nutrition. All right, this was the first book that I was introduced to by as I started being a Vitamix sales rep, right? This is one of the first books. Now, if you can beat cancer with nutrition, you can beat a whole lot of illnesses with nutrition. All right, so I didn't look at this and say, well, I don't have cancer, so I'm not gonna read it. No, I read it because it had a lot of valuable information as it pertained. And this even came with a CD for those of us that love to roll and listen to some important stuff. Well, back when 10 years ago, when CDs were important, then pop this in a CD player, right? And then that led me to another book of Dr. Quillen's, which is The Wisdom and Healing Power of Whole Foods. All right, so now you start talking about more so of this information that becomes so important when you start talking about the wisdom and healing power of whole foods. It's good stuff. Yeah. So again, because what I love about this particular book is that Dr. Quillen gives a lot of case studies. So he talks about different cases where a child dealing with attention deficit disorder, and for 2 weeks he instructed the mother to give that boy omega-3 oils for 2 weeks, or no, he instructed her to give him omega-3 oils. After 2 weeks, she came back saying that it's working, noticing a difference in her son's focus and everything, because every day she made sure she gave him a spoonful of omega-3 oils, right? Because again, your brain is creating thousands of brain synapses every day. Your brain isn't even fully developed until age 21. So again, anything you can help with development, omega-3 oils are powerful when it comes to that. So in my mind, okay, if I'm going to eat foods, maybe I should focus on making sure I incorporate some foods. And if I'm not going to eat foods, then maybe I should incorporate some supplements in order to give me that powerful bit of nutrients, right?
You can get
But
your
again,
omega-3s in moringa. You can get your omegas
absolutely.
in moringa plant.
You can get into avocado too.
There you go.
Avocado, yes.
Now, how did you guys learn that stuff? Did it fall on your head one day?
No, reading and learning. And let me say this real quick.
So it wasn't downloaded like it wasn't downloaded into your brain?
No, my survival mode kicked in. I'm telling you, I wanted
hold
to live.
Hold on. You mean so mainstream media didn't tell you that?
Hell no.
So you actually went out and researched yourself.
Right. You
researched yourself? Are you fucking serious? Dude, you can get in trouble for that. You know, you're gonna lose your black card if you start doing that shit.
Well, they told me about Will and Jada too. Will and Jada, WLOU, and all them motherfuckers.
Them some healthy ass. But see, that's the thing. Them some healthy ass looking motherfuckers. I seen Jada Pinkett sit there at the red table and talk about eating kale with olive oil on it, and she's sitting there. So while y'all worried about their drama, they over here eating healthy as hell, looking young as a mom.
Okay. Let me stress on something real quick, and I got a store to open up. Go ahead. Sacrifice. I love to be here with y'all all day, but I got a sacrifice. I got to go open up a store and help these people out and myself because I love what I'm doing. But real quick, let's go back to financial, and y'all have done shows on this where it's not learned at the dinner table. I should have been a millionaire a long time ago. You know, not that I'm a millionaire now. I'm just saying I should have been a millionaire a long time ago. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you how. Long time ago, I was working for this restaurant. This was in the 80s, brothers, early 80s. They was doing some old shady stuff. I happened to be involved in a class action suit. Okay, so when it's all said and done, the smoke cleared, I was awarded like $34,000. Okay, the fact that I didn't have financial sense, I didn't have somebody to sit me down and explain, you know, financial. Really, I really think I should have started a record service back then. Got me some land and, you know, got into the record truck business, you know, that kind of thing, towing cars, that kind of thing. But I didn't know anything back then, so that $34,000 went to the toilet, right? Okay, so to make a long story short, if I had had financial smart, if I'd had somebody like you, brothers, that will trigger something on my mind to say, hey, use that money, invest it, use some, maybe buy your tow truck, and then after, you know, then once you make some money, buy you another tow truck, you know, or get you an instant business, get you insurance business. Anyway, you know where I'm going with this. Okay, now I'm just not going to stop there. I screwed that money up like a little bitch. So I'm talking about myself. Okay, I'm talking about myself. So I don't just talk about other people.
But you had fun, Frank. You had fun with that money.
Oh
Frank.
my God, did I have fun?
That's way more important is the fun, not your future. F stands for fun, not future.
The biatches was plentiful.
Hey, and you know what? And that's another way to look at it. The bitch in you. You know, some of y'all got some bitch in you. You keep spending your money and don't even think about moving forward in any particular manner. That's the bitch in you. But go ahead.
Don't stop there, Joe. And the reason why I say I should have been a millionaire, my mama bought a house back in the 70s that I still live in today. She left this legacy, this source of income that I have took advantage of over the years, okay? Now, I know a lot of us, especially west of Louisville, where I've seen Mexicans come down here and I've seen them fix, you know, I'm embarrassed, so to speak. I know they did fixed up 6 properties down here around the corner from me, but anyway, I'm gonna say this. I was able to get a loan in the 90s for my house. I had $60,000 back then. So what did I do with that money? You know, I did a little bit in fixing up the house and stuff like that, but overall I screwed it up. didn't have business sense. But see, but I'm saying is, if I'd have had a little business sense, brothers, I would be a millionaire right now. And we talking 20 years ago, I had this money. And, and I just think about sometimes where I screwed it off. And if I'd have had brothers like you to listen to on the radio, different brothers who, like y'all talking about some Clubhouse, financial brothers can tell you what to do, instead of listening to, what who these rappers are doing, which is on the radio. Why does the radios have celebrity news every day? You ever think about that? Why the hell do we have celebrity news? Who gives a shit about celebrity and what they're doing? You understand what I'm saying? So I just want to bring that up front. It's people out there now, and if you get a lump sum of money, give with people who know a little bit about money. Start things that you could possibly make some money with, because I can tell you, I done been through it. And I'm here to tell you, I had a lot of fun with that money, but, I just blew all that money off. And I'm just telling you, man, this is why this Tipping Point show is so important to the community. Keep hammering it home. Everybody's not going to get it, Joe. Everybody's not going to get it. But those who do, just, I'm glad you're here. And I'm always going to listen and support and keep putting it out there for the younger people.
Hey, but you know what? Absolutely, man. And we appreciate you for saying that as well. Definitely. Yeah. And we do know that there are people that all over the area that are listening, and in other states as well, that are listening and tuning in, and because they send us comments. John done been spotted when he's out shopping. He didn't have people walk up to him and say, "Ain't you the dude from?" You know what I mean? So they're joining us on social media. I had someone reach out to me this week who is a listener of the show to talk about life insurance and kind of help make sure that they're pointed in the right direction. And if not, then we can kind of put something together to help point them in the right direction, because they too have realized that GoFundMe accounts is not a real life insurance policy, right? That's right. So, so there are people listening, and there are people who are reaching out. But it goes back to kind of what you were saying before, and you and I experienced the same thing as I was out there. I was an avid vegetarian, and I was preaching about health and wellness, and after a while, I ain't gonna lie, it got tiring seeing our people, the people who I cared to make sure had this information the most, because they're the people who had the information the least, right, on a day-to-day basis. Seeing our people walk up, see something green, seeing a green sorbet that I just made with 100% grape juice, a dab of honey, a handful of spinach, and some vegetarian vegan ice, and drop it in there and make a healthy sorbet, and walk up and, ooh, it's green, ooh, and it'd be us mostly. Whereas on the other side of the railroad tracks, they the ones walking up saying, "Oh man, this is nice. Wow, this is great. It tastes great."
And thing is, they do that in front of their babies, and then the babies grow up talking about, that's nasty. Don't do that in front of your babies. If you don't like, you don't have to like.
My kid is picky. How your kid get picky?
Yeah,
they just came out the womb deciding that, you know what, this green stuff that I've never seen or heard of before is disgusting. I don't even want to try it because it's green. Yeah, so your baby came out the womb like that?
Well, it is sort of true. Baby came out the womb with those taste palates because the mama ate crappy when they were pregnant.
You're right.
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah. So now the kid comes out and they're over the idea of salt. They need more of it, right? More sugar.
It won't be long. Baby's gonna come out diabetic when they come out in the world.
That's right.
They getting younger and younger. They're gonna pop out the womb needing insulin.
And some
because we already talk about childhood diabetes as a problem.
And some doctors' offices, not all. And let me say for the people who's listening, there ain't no damn way we could be talking about 100% of the people on the damn planet. So it don't apply to all.
That's right.
But some doctors' offices, we didn't took our grandbabies in there and we try to give them fruit every day and do the best we can with them. And they're coming there talking about, well, they underweight, But compared to what?
Right.
Compared to what? What do you want them with diabetes? We're not going to put extra weight on them to satisfy you. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
That's because, again, they're looking at the medical journals. They're looking at the medical journals, right? And the information in the medical journals keep changing. So now, again, like we spoke about early in the show, every 10 years, you can go and look at the timeline right now. Go Google, folks. You got supercomputers in your fucking hands. Go Google. You can look at the timeline from 100 years ago to now and how much a 10-year-old weighed versus a 10-year-old now. And how they've normalized it. So now if a 10-year-old weighed 80 pounds, 100 years ago, now a 10-year-old weighs 90 pounds or 100 pounds, versus 10 years ago. And it's okay. And that's normal weight. So my question is, what the hell what's different about that 10-year-old 10 years ago than now as to why that extra 10 or 20 pounds is an okay weight for them? Which leads you to take your child to the hospital, the doctor, and now the medical journal says that a child at this age should be weighing this much. And the doctors, they're just so much on autopilot because of what they've been taught. And then we put doctors on this big pedestal still. Therefore, they can't help but to believe that everything that I'm telling you is correct and you should not think otherwise because I'm a doctor. I am a doctor.
And I guarantee you, Amish babies, Asian babies are not weighing these weights that they want them to weigh. So we gotta take control of our own health. Stop frowning on greens and green beans and these kind of things. And let me say this real quick. I know I'm jumping all over the place real quick. We was talking about business and sacrifice, and let me bring this up. The holidays are coming. Now, you're going to see every store that foreigners own are going to be open on Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, because they don't give a shit about these holidays. And I'm going to tell you, them are some of their biggest revenue days. Well, not all, but some of us, and nothing wrong with it. We love to be off on Thanksgiving, visiting family. I don't have no problem with that. We love to be off on our Christmases and Christmas Eve. But that is the difference between a lot of cultures. Man, they out there getting that money. They can care less about a Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve or a Thanksgiving. They get this money.
Columbus Day. The fuck is Columbus?
Guess who's spending it? I've seen them little stores on Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, busy all day long. So we're gonna change the mentality one person at a time and stop with the shaming, so-called shaming of people. We saying we shaming them because they gaining weight, stuff like that. No, we're not shaming you. We telling you to go back to. They show Soul Train reruns on YouTube. Go back and look at them people. You ain't finding none. They skinny as hell, so to speak. And that was the norm back in the 70s. Sure we wasn't overweight people. We were not sickly people. So we need to stop it.
Sure was. I agree with you there.
Stop acting like something didn't change. So okay. So I'm gonna say this. All right. So we talk about a solution. Number one, let's go diet. All right. Yeah. Look at your diet and see how you can get more raw fruits and vegetables into your diet. I'm not saying that is all that one should be eating. Nobody's telling you to become a vegetarian. Nobody's telling you to become vegan. But I can guarantee that most with ailments out here can look at their diet and see a lack of raw fruits and vegetable. You know, John has something to where after 8 p.m. he don't eat nothing but raw fruits and vegetables, right? That he doesn't focus on eating anything heavy after a certain time. So again, you have to start disciplining yourself like that. And guess what? If you do it enough, anything you do for at least 14 days, 21 days becomes habit forming. Right. And the more that you eat raw fruits and vegetables, however you get it, the more you will crave it. You can look behind me over my shoulder. There's a juicer back there sitting on the bar there. Well, with that juicer, like I said, I'm going to the Derby City Flea Market here in a little bit. And I'm gonna go see if the people are still out there with the raw fruits and vegetables. I'm gonna hit up your boy from AG in the city as well and see if he's got anything going on. But I'm gonna go grab some raw fruits and vegetables, because I want to get it at a less expensive price as well. And I'm gonna, pack the fridge even more with that. So here's the one thing: focus on your diet. At least add something to your diet that will help you get more raw fruits and vegetables into your diet. So if you're going to keep eating the crap, the least you can do is add something to your diet to help you get the nutrition to helpfully focus on thwarting off some of the negative things that your diet is doing. And then the second thing, outside of changing your diet, is change the things that you watch and listen to. On a daily basis. That would be the second thing I would tell you to do. As you're riding down the street, John and I will send each other these positive videos or what have you, whether we're sharing it on social media, tagging each other in it or what have you. We do this stuff, because, man, I heard this powerful thing. Boom, I'm going to share it with my dude, right? So again, because he's on that same wavelength. So, again, we're going to share it with Frank. We pass these things around. We change the things that you're listening to. So change your diet, change the things that you're listening to on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of motivational stuff out there that has music behind it. You want to listen to some music? Guess what? Go ahead and listen to that motivational thing. It's got music playing in the background, but hopefully some of the motivational talk is getting embedded into your subconscious. That's important. What would be a third thing?
Financials. Do you have to go? Do you have to go to every concert? Do you have to see every fight that comes on TV that you have to pay money for?
Every
do you
sale,
have to buy every purse? Do you have to buy every pair of shoes? Do you have to get them rims? Do you have to get the newest car every fucking time? I mean, golly. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you pay attention with what Frank is saying right there with what Frank is saying, every time you get extra money, there's always something that pops up. I can promise you. There's always something that pops up that you begin to feel that you need to spend that money on. It happens. And it has to do with really what you're thinking. It has to do with what you called into your life because of your way of thinking. So I'm gonna tell you right now, again, like he's saying, finances would be the third thing to focus on in moving to a higher trajectory in life.
Buy assets. Try to buy assets instead of liabilities. Okay, now reason why I say that concert, you think you're just paying for a concert ticket. You got to have new shoes. You got to have a new outfit. You got to have a hairdo. You got to have your nails. And I'm just not picking on the women. Same thing with the men. You got to do.
Got to get a new fit.
It adds up.
That $80 ticket became $380 because you had to get a new fit. John, go ahead and give us number 4. We got diet. We got finances. We got diet, we got what we listen to, and then we got finances. What's a fourth thing?
You have to increase your vibration of what you think of yourself. You have to raise the level of what you think of yourself. And you have to ask this question: how do you feel about yourself? Who do you call yourself, and what frequency does it vibrate? Because the higher you elevate yourself, the better your environment would be based on what you think. If you think of yourself as a black, then that's all you got. If you think of yourself as a king, guess what you're going to do? You're going to vibrate kingmanship mentality around you. If you think of yourself as a god, which most people are afraid to even go there, you are, and think about that.
You will get struck by lightning.
Who in the hell put that in the back of our subconscious that we better not call ourselves a god? I mean, that's some scary shit. But if you think of yourself as a god, you at your highest vibration. That means there's nothing above you, and therefore you can approve anything. And this is what we need to think of ourselves. We need to raise our vibration. And I think we think too low of ourselves. I think as an individual, we actually think too low of ourselves, and we think we can achieve these great things. So
would y'all see would a queen go to a club and gyrate their hips and put their head down to the ground and ass up? Would a queen do that at a club? Do you think a queen would do that?
Absolutely not.
I don't think a queen would do that either.
I don't think a queen would do that either.
And I don't think that a king would be okay with a queen going to do that.
No,
right?
No, he would not. He would not only not. He would not only he would be this. He not only would he not want his queen to do it. He wouldn't want his daughter to do it.
His princess.
Yes. So only a low vibration. Only a person with low vibration will go out and do that anyway, and only a person with low vibration would want that in a woman. So anyway.
Only a person with low vibration would want that in a woman.
Exactly, and that's just that simple. Low vibration attracts low vibration. High vibration attracts high vibration. If you think highly of yourself, you want somebody to think highly. Hey, I know a woman that told me, she said that she goes to shooting practice. So she goes and do this. She goes like every month, and she learns how to shoot, defend herself. She said a guy asked her out, and she said in the conversation, she said, "Do you shoot?" He said, "No, I don't mess with guns." And she said it was over with. So you're trying to find like-minded stuff. And I said, so you know, she wants a man like her, right? She wants a man with her same interests. She said, if somebody's banging on the door, somebody try to break in, he's telling me what to do. He's telling me go find out who it is because she knows how to use a gun. She said she don't feel protected with a man that doesn't know how to use a gun because that's what she learned, right? So it's the same way with your mentality. I know people who are vegan will not date a person who's not a vegan. I'm gonna tell you that now. I heard women say, you know, I'm vegan. And I'd be damned if I'm gonna cook some meat for you. You better do that yourself. So you see the attraction. You attract.
I can say even right there, you know, that's been the fall of relationships in the past for me. Is when I was focusing on my vegetarianism and she's not, then we just begin to clash already because we can't really sit, you know, we haven't found a commonality to sit down and eat and break bread with each other with. So yeah, man, I think you start talking about dating, that would be number 5. Find yourself around like-minded people. If you can't be a vegetarian brother trying to stick your dick inside of a meat-eating woman, right? Because that's I mean, I'm just saying you need to find some like-mindedness because you know.
Because you need the support. You need that support. And so that helps you, that validates who you are when you have that support. It's nothing, there's nothing worse than a brother who's trying to build his credit or build his finances, and he got a woman that's constantly going out every week spending money.
Oh boy.
New. You know, that's just what I'm saying. You know, you have to find somebody that thinks like you think. You're a spendthrift. And so you want to stay broke, and the other person don't want to stay broke, and it will create the division in a relationship like those of religion. If a person who's meet someone and they marry under a certain religion, and I've seen women move away from that religion, or I've seen men do it too, and they break up the relationship because I ain't going to church no more. I don't believe in that no more. Well, it breaks it up. It ends it right there. So you got to find that. But Listen, fellas, I got to get ready to cut out.
All right, man. Hey, it's been a fantastic show. Love the build with you guys. So until next time, until next week, once again, remember healthdaddywow.net. You can check them out right here locally. And you got a BB2Me trading company, which ultimately at this point, what's the new new website?
Well, it's actually, you can still go to Saya Baba. Saya Baba website still it when you go.
That's what happened to me. It right. took me to the new website.
SYABABA will take you right to a BB Trading. Yes, of course, both connected.
Fantastic. All right, folks. Remember, justaskjoe.net. You want to book an appointment, just hit me up. All right, now, until next time, same place, same time. Love y'all. Love y'all, brothers. Y'all be easy.
Peace, bro.
All right, bro.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.